It was just another quiet day at Sarah's truck shop until the roar of motorcycle engines shattered the peace. A group of outlaws barged in, trashing everything in their path, their eyes full of trouble. Sarah, a hardworking single mom, was used to handling difficult customers. But these bikers were different. They didn't know who they were messing with. What they didn't know was that Sarah wasn't just a mechanic. She was an ex-Special Forces operative, trained to handle far worse than a group of unruly bikers. As the chaos unfolded, Sarah's calm demeanor hid a storm brewing inside her. Little did the outlaws know they were about to learn a hard lesson. But would Sarah's skills be enough to stop them before it's too late? Stay tuned to find out. Sarah had rebuilt this shop from the ground up after losing her husband in a tragic accident. The shop was her life, her legacy, and the only way she could provide for her son. But it wasn't just the business she'd been protecting all these years. Sarah had learned the hard way that life doesn't give second chances. When the bikers tore through her shop, she knew it wasn't just a random act of violence. They were looking for something. She could feel it, something in their eyes, the way they scanned the place like they were hunting. Her military instincts kicked in, but she couldn't act too soon. Not with her son inside. She had to stay calm, wait for the right moment. But the longer they stayed, the more dangerous it became. What were they really after? And how far would Sarah go to stop them? The bikers weren't just causing chaos for the fun of it. Sarah recognized their leader, a tall, rough-looking man with a scar across his cheek. He was someone from her past, a past she had fought hard to leave behind. She had crossed paths with him during an operation years ago, but that was a lifetime ago. Or so she thought. The way he looked at her now told her everything. He hadn't forgotten, and neither had she. Her son Jake was in the back of the shop, oblivious to the danger. Sarah's heart raced as she kept her eyes on the bikers, who were ransacking her tools and shouting orders. She needed to buy time, keep them distracted. But something felt off. The leader wasn't just looking to destroy. He was searching for something specific. Her mind raced. Could he be after the confidential files she had hidden in the office? Files that could compromise national security if they fell into the wrong hands. It seemed impossible, but her training told her otherwise. If they were looking for those documents, this was no longer just a robbery. It was personal. Jake's voice broke through her thoughts. "Mom, what's going on?" He stood in the doorway, his face confused, unaware of the storm raging outside. The tension in Sarah's chest tightened. She couldn't let him see the danger. Not yet. Not until she was ready to act. She needed a plan, fast. But with every passing second, the bikers seemed to get closer to discovering what they were after. Would Sarah's training be enough to protect her son, her business, and the secret she had buried for so long? Or was this the end of everything she had fought for? The noise in the shop was deafening now. The bikes, the shouting, the clatter of metal hitting the floor, it all blurred into one chaotic storm. Sarah's mind was razor sharp, but her heart pounded harder with each passing second. She had to think fast. The leader, Scar, was getting closer to the back office where the files were hidden. If he found them, everything was over. She glanced at Jake, still standing in the doorway, his eyes wide with confusion. "Go to the back, Jake." "Now," she whispered urgently, keeping her voice steady. But Jake didn't move. "Mom, what's going on?" His voice trembled. She couldn't afford to explain. Not yet. The tension was suffocating, and she had to keep him safe. Scar's voice broke through the noise, low and menacing. "You know what I'm here for, Sarah. Hand it over, and we'll leave without any more trouble." His words sent a chill down her spine. She knew exactly what he meant. But how could she give him something she didn't have? The files were hidden deep in the wall, behind layers of insulation. Only she knew how to access them, and she wasn't about to make it easy for him. The other bikers were getting restless, pushing over shelves, throwing tools, searching for anything of value. The shop was becoming a war zone, and Sarah felt the walls closing in. She had to make a choice: protect Jake and risk them finding the files, or draw them away and risk everything. Every instinct in her screamed for action. Jake's footsteps were still hesitant. "Mom." He was standing too close to the danger, and Sarah knew she couldn't waste another moment. With one swift motion, she grabbed a wrench from the counter, her hand tightening around it as she turned toward the bikers. Scar smirked, as if sensing her resolve. "You think you can stop me," he mocked. A figure stepped out from the shadows, a tall, imposing man wearing military fatigues and a familiar set of dog tags. Sarah's heart nearly stopped. She knew him. She had trained with him, fought beside him. But he was supposed to be dead. "Captain James," she whispered, her voice shaking. James's eyes locked onto hers, his face grim. "Long time, Sarah. I wasn't dead. I was just waiting." The realization hit her like a tidal wave. The file in Jake's hands wasn't just a loose end, it was a trap. Captain James had been playing both sides, manipulating the bikers and pulling the strings from the shadows. This whole thing had been a setup from the start. The outlaws, the chaos, the mission, it was all part of a much larger game, and Sarah had been a pawn the entire time. As the bikers started to realize they had been played, chaos erupted. Scar lunged at James, but Sarah moved faster. She tackled him to the ground, the fight breaking out in an explosion of fists and rage. But as the dust settled, it was clear that Sarah and James were the last ones standing. James wiped the blood from his lip and turned toward her. "You're not going to walk away from this." "Not now." But before Sarah could respond, Jake called out from the back. "Mom, there's more." Sarah turned just in time to see the real twist unfold. The file wasn't a key to national security, it was a map. A map that led to something even darker, something neither she nor the bikers had fully understood until now. It wasn't just about taking the file back or stopping the bikers, it was about the future. And that future, it was something none of them could have prepared for. The game wasn't over. It had just begun. Sarah stepped toward the back, where Jake was holding the map, his face full of confusion. As she studied it, the full weight of what was happening hit her. The map wasn't just a route, it was a list of locations, hidden across the country, connected to covered operations she had been a part of. The truth was far darker than she ever imagined. James wasn't just an enemy, he was part of a larger network, using the bikers as pawns in a game she had no choice but to play. With the bikers neutralized and James taken into custody, Sarah finally felt a sense of relief. But the fight wasn't over. She had a choice to make: expose the conspiracy and risk everything, or bury the past for good. With a look at Jake, she made her decision. It was time to finally take control of her own story. Sarah didn't answer. She couldn't afford to show him any weakness. She knew that the next few seconds would determine everything: her son's safety, the fate of the shop, and whatever dark secret from her past Scar had come.